All right, we're going live. So for those tuning in, hopefully tuning in, listening on podcast, we were getting started and we realized we were talking and talking. I was like, damn, I forgot to hit record or broadcast. We'd have kept going, but
Just keep going.
yeah.
It's just a conversation. But thanks for having
Yeah.
me, though.
Oh, absolutely. Like I was telling you beforehand, like I've been waiting for this one for quite a while, and I'm such a fan of what you're doing, man. I'm
Oh,
part
thanks, brother.
part jealous, envious. I shouldn't be, but I'm super happy for what you guys are doing, and all your
Appreciate it.
success with this platform. But yeah. So before we get into it, though, what I like to always do is kind of take a step back and understand kind of the origin story and how you got to where you are and so if you'll indulge me, if we can kind of take a trip way back.
No Vegas stories, though. I'm
Okay.
just gonna keep it clean.
I don't have like one. I got to get one of those, dump buttons, I guess, right? Because we go astray. But yeah, so let's take it way back, right? So take us to young Walter, young early
Young
days.
Walter. Wow,
Yeah,
that far back.
sounds like a
So,
TV show. Yeah.
well, thanks for having me. I really,
Yeah.
really enjoy interacting with you and everybody. You know, I wasn't born in the U.S. I am proudly an American citizen now, but I was born in this tiny little country in Central America named El Salvador. And so my father had passed away when I was about 12.
Mm.
And, I saw my mother struggling. She never really had a job. So, I saw she was struggling a little bit. And then when I was about 16, I went over to her and I said, "Ma, I got to go to the United States." And she says to me, "Well, we don't know anybody in the States." I said, "It's okay." I said, "I'll just leave." And she's like, "That's not going to happen. You're 16." So about 2 weeks later, I came back and I said to her, "You know what? If you don't give me the money to leave, I'm going to commit suicide." I was not suicidal at all, but I knew that my mother would move if I said that. So
Sure.
long story short, I came to the States when I was 17. And, ever since then, it's been a blessing to me and my family because eventually I was able to bring my mother with me. And I have a family now, so it's been an amazing ride for me. Very grateful.
Yeah. So what was the drive? What was it about 16? Right? Was there it's just your father passed, and but was there like a moment? Was there something that said, just I gotta run this direction?
Yeah, I wasn't the greatest student. I was always into electronics. In El Salvador, we have a very high education level, and in high school you had to pick a career. So my career was electronics, and so I fell in love with transistors and things like that. And so I was always very passionate about it. I just didn't know where to put that passion. When the opportunity came, and I said to myself, I gotta find a better thing to do, a better place to go. And I didn't know anybody. We had an uncle that I hadn't seen in like 9 years. He was the only person that lived here in Brooklyn, New York, and he gave me a spot to live, and I was there for like a year or two until I left.
Wow. So that's where you landed is right in Brooklyn, huh?
Right in Brook, the Lansing. I've never seen snow. It's never been as cold as it is here. The warmest, the coldest I've ever been was like 60 degrees. So it was a big change for me.
Did you need to like show up and say I immediately regretted this decision or?
Probably every day, definitely. But you know what? It was a kick in the ass that I needed. Now I look at it in retrospect and I say to myself, man, how lucky was I? The opportunities in El Salvador are very small, and coming here, it's just an amazing country, right? So giving me the opportunity to go to school, start a business, and now I feel so grateful that I can pay it forward, by hiring people and creating jobs and creating BINOX and my MSP that I'm still running. And so I'm just very lucky, to be here.
Yeah, well, I think that old adage, right? You make your luck. I mean, you certainly obviously did, right? You had the drive and I can imagine for anybody, uprooting themselves, especially at 16, and then going to, this unknown jungle of a city, and
If I
trying to
told
make
you
it.
that this makes sense today more than it made sense when I was 16, you wouldn't believe it. Because part of the BINOX team, we have some very good software developers in El Salvador. And so part of the BINOX team is in El Salvador.
Wow.
We have a team here in New York and we have a team there. And for me, it's always been about, almost like uh, seeing myself in these kids, right? So looking backwards now, I know the reason why God, God or whatever you believe in, the higher power, helped me to be here because now I can provide jobs over there and people don't have to go through what I went through. People don't have to leave their families like I did. And so, now it kind of clicks into place. Before it was grinding, grinding, grinding. Now there's a much higher power, very different drive than just money. It's very different for me.
Wow. That's kind of got the chills, man. It's powerful stuff, man. That's awesome,
Thanks, man.
man.
Thank you.
So you're in New York, 16, 17. What what's this progression? Let's get through the progression of starting a business. So what'd you do when you landed?
I worked at a pizzeria. My uncle was a pizza man, and he said to me, I landed this morning. He said to me, "You're coming to work tomorrow." So, and I went to work the next day. So, ended up in the pizzeria in the Bronx. I actually ended up living in the Bronx, which was early, late, early 90s. Bronx was very different than today.
Mhm.
A lot of violence, a lot of drugs, a lot of crazy stuff. But I was a young kid. I was working. I was making a little bit of money. I was living the life. I was able to send money to my mother, which was my biggest thing. I
Wow.
recently found about 10 letters that my mother saved that I used to send to her. When I read them, I'm telling you, it's like it makes me cry because I read the letters and I'm saying, man, this kid was so scared, and now I look at it and I actually appreciate him more because that fear has always motivated me. I always had some sort of I was always afraid to miss it, honestly, Kevin. Like, the whole Binox thing came from an opportunity uh, that I never really thought about doing anything like this, right? But somebody said to me, "Can you build this?" And I was like, "Yes," And I almost always feel that if I don't try it, if I don't attempt to do it, then you're missing life, right? You're missing the chance. I mean, it's not all about money or success or whatever. It's all about like you have these opportunities in life. Can you take advantage of them? Can you help other people take advantage of them? And so that's the motivation for me.
That's awesome. So we'll get to Binax here shortly, but let's get into the MSP. Let's get into the progression or how you had that early affinity for technology and you're in a new strange land, figuring it out. Started the pizzeria, and then what was the transition into your own business into the MSP space? What did that look like?
Yeah, so my MSP is focused on serving independent insurance agencies, and we do it. We started in New York, but we do it everywhere. And so, quick story. I don't know how much time we have, but I walked into
Plenty of
this
time.
insurance agency, right? And the guy that ran it was an old school Italian guy. But if you ever seen The Godfather, that's what this guy looked like, right? He's on his desk smoking a cigar. Had these two big guys next to him, right? Probably bodyguards. And they've been having a Microsoft Exchange server issue for the last, I don't know, like 21 days, and they can't get email, right? And it's a big insurance agency in Long Island, New York. And I was working for this guy who was a terrible boss, but I was getting trained. I was learning a lot. So I walk in and I said good morning. The guy, he was in his office, so he saw me come in. My boss went in there to talk to him, and then I went in the back to look at the server. This is, for me, I was obsessed with all this stuff. Like I walked into that server and, you know, I looked at the problem and within seconds I knew what it was. I'm not that smart. I just figured it out. And I walked out like 5 minutes later and I see this gentleman call me up. He's like, "Come here, kid." And I was scared. I was really scared. And I thought I was in trouble, right? So I walk in, I'm like, "Yes, sir." He says to me, "What happened in there?" I said, I fixed the problem." And he says to me, "What do you mean you fixed the problem?" And he gets up from his chair, like really angry. I said, "I fixed the problem that you had with email. And he says to me, "I had 3 guys here that was supposed to be the best of the best. You come in, and in 5 minutes you fix it." And I said to him, "Actually, no, sir. It really took me like 30 seconds, but I pretend to be there for 5 minutes because I figured you needed to pay me for at least an hour." And he started laughing, dude. And
That's
so
awesome.
he turns around and says to me, "You know what? I want you to work for me, and I want you to start tomorrow at 8 a.m." Just like that, right? So I
Wow.
go home. I have a mortgage. I have a car to pay, and I said to my wife, "You know what? I just met this guy with a cigar. He wants me to start tomorrow." And she looks at me. She's like, "Are you crazy?" But that's the opportunity, Kevin,
Yeah.
right? Believe it or not, I went to work the next day for this gentleman. And about 2 years after that, he was the first person that believed in me and told me that he will be my first client and that he will introduce me to his friends. And that's how I started my MSP.
Wow. Wow.
It's
That's
crazy,
awesome.
man.
That's
Crazy.
awesome.
By the way, I still have one of his account. He passed away. May he
Mm,
rest in peace.
yeah.
But I still have one of his accounts that he introduced me to.
Wow. No, I mean, kudos. It's just, it's crazy just in life. You have some of these, happenstance, strange, encounters, and they end up being, pivot points or crucial,
Yeah.
happenstance meetings that just take you in a completely different direction, and it's just, I'm always fascinated by that. And I walk around trying to think like, when's the next, something like that going to happen? When's the next conversation or next person that you're nice to, ends up coming back
Yeah.
around. But yeah, those are special moments, man. Those are very special moments. So,
Yeah, and you know how many we miss, right? Like I always tell my team, like, look, guys, it's not, you guys really need to take chances, right? Like sometimes they come to me, "Oh, this may not work." So what, right? I mean, the worst that can happen is we break the thing and, we have a backup. So, but how many times do you miss that opportunity because you were scared? And, I get a lot of MSPs. We're talking to like 7 or 8 a day and some of them sometimes always ask me like, "Oh, I don't know," and I always feel that there's a fear factor
mhm,
in the way they think about life and the way they think about business and grow in their company, that you need to take risk. I mean, is it more calculated over time? Sure. I mean, when I was 18, I wasn't calculating anything,
mhm,
but it's always a risk. Like you taking a risk right now with this business, right? And
mhm.
so, but if you don't take that chance, you just never know. You can miss something big.
Yeah. So you've made a heck of a name for yourself in this industry, and this is pre Binox, right? Of being just one of the MSPs or just service providers that everybody envies, and that's saying quite a bit because there's a lot of service providers, a lot of really good companies out there. But I think that's how I first got to know of you and really how special
Thank
you
you.
are and what you've built. But you had this pivot point, another pivot point or moment where you're saying that somebody challenged you to build some type of platform, and you said sure. And so let's get into it. Take us behind the scenes with Binox.
Those are the failures, right? So
Yeah.
I am a member of Robin Robbins, and I enjoyed the groups and the people around it. And I was asked if I can build. I was actually helping with some sort of campaign as a beta tester, and I showed this very basic code I've written where I can send data from, my Infusionsoft at the time to ConnectWise. And it was literally, Kevin, it's because I'm lazy. I didn't want to type anything. And so I'm doing that, and somebody sees it and they say to me, can you build that for like to sell it? And I said yes, right? Not thinking about it, and eventually became my first failure, because yes, I started to build it and I went, all in, but this is a really difficult task, right? Synchronizing two systems that had never spoken to each other, and just building that was actually, it was only one more company that did it and they quit. Long story short, that failure led me to BINOX, because I said to myself, look, I got to get this right. First of all, I had some friends that were really mad at me. So I was able to get it done. As a matter of fact, we are the only tool certified by ConnectWise that could do that now, aside from BINOX. But we built it into BINOX. It actually became the biggest failure we had of this synchronization system, became the best tool inside of BINOX, because it made us understand ConnectWise and all the other PSA so well that we're the only tool that you could do a search in BINOX for, let's say, a name, a quote, or proposal, whatever, and it looks in both systems, right? And that has never been done before. I always tell my team that, to me, search is so important, because it can save you so much time by just searching something, pulling the contact in, quoting it right away. So the biggest failure became the most important tool inside of BINOX. It created those integrations, so it's really, really cool.
Very cool. So, if you guess, how do you describe BINOX today? Because we were talking behind the scenes and kind of gave me a little sneak peek behind some of the really incredible stuff that you're going to be doing. But what is it today?
To say is a sales enablement tool, it kind of misses a lot of key points, right? Because when I think about sales, I think about how efficient can I help a salesperson be, right? So an example will be, what happens to me every day. I'm working on a deal. I need the person is not the person I thought it was, or maybe I need to contact their boss. Maybe they're not decision makers. And then you spend 30 minutes, 40 minutes searching for that person. That's if you had the tools. If you don't, you might not even find the person. So for me, it was all about efficiency, right? How efficient can I make somebody? Can I help somebody be? And honestly, in the managed service business, you know this better than anybody. There aren't really good tools to do this, right? And I may have chosen the wrong path at the beginning, but not really, right? Because when I think about it now, it was the perfect path. I started selling leads, first of all, with BINOX, and not just leads, but we have a whole system, humanly verified, all of that. And then I said to myself, you know what? We're selling these leads. They're 1,000 times better than any other one, any other provider. What tools can I build in there that somebody won't spend time looking for these people? And then I built tools like website reveal, which is a cool tool we have where you put a little code on your website and it tells you who's landing on your page. We only show you who we can actually verify. We have this thing we had this browser extension, so even if you don't have LinkedIn Pro, you can still click it and it'll give you all the information on that person. So I started to build little tools like that, right? And then honestly, BINOX became this monster over time, because now we have a CRM, but it's not just a CRM. It has built-in dialers for phones. It has SMS texting. It has video mail, which is super important today. And we built it all in one place, right? And we continue to build all these tools, marketing campaigns. I mean, we're about to launch our automated marketing campaigns, which the biggest pain point for, I think, almost every MSP is like, I need an expert to help me build the campaign. But meanwhile, they have data, they have all these vendors that give them marketing campaigns. So we built a system where you can drag and drop all of these campaigns into one place, set up sequences. It doesn't take a genius to do it. And to me, that's that's what the tool is about. It's like how much can I help that MSP? By the way, not break the bank, right? Because some of these tools are
Hmm.
so expensive. I always get these guys on the demos that tell me, oh, I'm uh, how much is it, right? Because that's always the question. And I always tell them, well, we're just as good as Zoom minus the 30,000 a year, right? And so, you know, when if I had to describe it, it's more of an enhancement to the actual sales process, and really where we going with the tool. It's only the beginning. This is just version one for us, and
Hmm.
there's so many things we want to work in solving those issues, not just for MSPs but everybody. And we think that although as difficult the MSP industry is to break, I think is the best industry we could have picked because we know it so well
Hmm.
and we know the issues really well. So
Yeah, I mean, you're having such a material impact on on so many elements of the MSP, the sales process, marketing, kind of data, just kind of building top of the funnel, bottom of the funnel. It's like you're up and down the stack, and it's been interesting for the last 6 or 7 years to see the development or matriculation of the sales and marketing, experts or services, and they're there to help open the door. But it's still incumbent upon the MSP, right, to take the actions, right? And so you can train them, you can give them kind of all the playbooks, but you know one of the hardest parts for an MSP is actually taking the action, and you're building a platform that eliminates a lot of that friction in taking the action, right? And you know it's hard, especially for a lot of the early stage MSPs that are going from break fix, and they're running around trying to keep the business together, let alone trying to go out there and grow the business. And so anything you can do to have a material impact in the front end is incredible, and I think you're doing it in several different ways.
thank you. I had this kid, he's actually right here in Connecticut, right? He says he comes into a demo, he says to me, Walter, I had no money. He says to me, I just started. My job fired me, and I'm really good with computers, and I'm going with this, right? And I felt compelled to help him. That's the Boy Scout in me. But I was like, dude, I'll give you the BINOX plan with leads. I said to him, use it for 3 months. I don't really care whether or not you pay me. It doesn't matter. I said, when you get the first customer, I want you to call me. And I said, and just come into our coaching call. We have a coaching call every Friday. I said, just come into our calls, ask any questions. We'll go through it. And at first, he was struggling, right? Because telling somebody, look, you gotta download these leads, call these people, follow this process, send them an email, do this. It's daunting if you haven't done it before. But I
Yeah.
always tell MSPs, they tell me, oh, Walter, I don't have the time to do this. And I'll say, can you make 10 phone calls in the morning? And they'll say to me, yeah, I can do that. I say, okay, so I'll show you how you can make 10 phone calls in the morning to highly qualified leads with the right marketing approach, with the right stuff, and then you tell me if you close deals. So this kid, long story short, he closed his first deal, man, and he called me up. He was so excited, and just like that, we have MSPs that are starting. We have very seasoned MSPs. I had a guy the other day. They have about 30 people. I think he's got like 5 or 6 salespeople. And he said to me, I never had a tool like this. I never had something where I could just create a quote in ConnectWise, shows up on my CRM, and I could just have all these salespeople never go into my into my PSA because they hate that, right? They hate the
Hmm.
salespeople on the PSA. So
Yeah.
it's a process. I think long term we're gonna make a bigger impact in the community because honestly, I look around every event we go and I say to myself, everybody's pushing products to the MSP to sell, but in the end, they have to sell it, right?
Hmm.
We have to coach them and give them the tools to sell it. So, and giving them a campaign isn't enough, by the way. In BINOX, we're building vendor campaigns where we have some vendors that are putting their campaigns in there. So if one of their members come in, we just enable the campaign and they start using it. But that's not enough. The campaign is one thing. Also the process, the phone calls. How many phone calls do you make? How many emails do you send? What happens once you get them to talk to you? What's the next step? What's the assessment look like? What once you read the assessment, do you give them a proposal? If you give them a proposal, should you do it right on the spot or wait one more time? Like all of this is a science, and so we're just prescribing the science in it.
Yeah, it's awesome. And then look, and
Thank
who
you.
better to create the science and somebody that's lived it, right? Lived it through and through, and experienced the pains and the challenges of growth and overcome these things. So yeah, so well done here. So I always like to ask kind of forward-looking questions in these chats. And so, what does Binox look like in 2 years from now?
We definitely are moving toward, automation is a big word. I tell most people be careful with automation. I probably had the most scar tissue than anyone using automation. I had infusions of years before I joined Robin Robbins. And I always ask people, out of this automation, are you getting new business, right? Because I don't know about you, Kevin, but I don't even answer emails that come that I could tell they're marketing emails.
Yeah.
So for us at Motiva and Binox, we're very connected to the phone call. We're old school, right? So we'll send you an email, we'll send you a letter, something, but in the end, we're gonna call you 4 or 5 times, right? And and we're not just calling anybody, we're calling companies in the insurance industry that need compliance,
Mhm.
that need cybersecurity, needs our services. So we booked an average of 30 appointments for our MSP a month. And these are not just regular appointments, these are brand new, highly qualified, over 50 users, under 200, blah, 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 that need us.
Mm.
And so for us, it's really about being more intentional with our time. And in Binox, we want to make sure we do that with the tools. So one of the things that we're really obsessed with is creating something where you don't. So I'll give you a preview of this one. This one is interesting. So Chat GPT comes in November, right?
Mhm.
Everybody's talking about it in January. The truth of the matter is, Kevin, that a lot of these marketing firms are going to have trouble because content creation is going to move toward the AI side. So I'm sitting at a meeting and going, what is the biggest challenge MSPs have right now? Well, content creation, right? Or posting a blog or writing something about, what they do to that particular industry. So we're coming out with a tool that you'll be able to use ChatGPT, but our integrations with WordPress, you'll be able to post those things directly into your blog post or
Mhm.
start a campaign from it, or click a button and pull up your list and just go. So a lot of that automation, but intentional,
Mhm.
being more intentional with it. And second, we're hyper focused in the science of machine learning algorithms. And the future for us looks like we're going to be working on solving some of the biggest problems MSPs have, like making phone calls, automating a lot of that stuff. So it's more about enhancing the sales process rather than replacing it, really.
That's incredible. So, from the pizzeria to machine learning and AI and in global domination.
I'm taking my kids to El Salvador in 2 weeks, and I cannot wait because I'm gonna take him to where I grew up, to my house, and having a perspective of having been there. And by the way, at the time when I was living there is when El Salvador was in the middle of a civil war. So
Mhm.
having that perspective for me is probably why I'm so driven to help other people. And for me, it's really not about the money. It's never been. In fact, it's funny when I see people sometimes get a little aggressive with me, and in my head I'm saying, dude, like I didn't even speak English like 20 years ago, like I'm not your enemy, trust me, like I'm, but I understand it, it's business. So but we're really, when we think about problems, we never think about it from, our perspective. Like just yesterday, there was a guy who, the MSP, right? We're all very, uh, we're always trying to get our way. So the guy says to us, "Oh, I need a filter for this area code," and we actually can't build a filter for area code as much as we want to. The information just doesn't come like that. And so, but we did a compromise for the guy, and I'm saying to myself, those are the things that are important, not to us, to the person, to the MSP. And so we listen to all the feedback. Sometimes we can't do it, we're just not going to do it. But sometimes I can tell you a lot of the pieces that are in the app right now have come from customers saying, you know what, this should be here, or that we should do that this way. Some of them are good ideas, and we really listen to them. uh, but the purpose for us is different, Kevin. We're driven by financial freedom. Is great. I love money. I'll just be honest with you. I love what money can do for you. I love how you can help your parents, your family, your people, right? But in the end, the only thing you have left in humanity is just helping another human being. So I get called into, some guy will say, Walter, can I speak with you for an hour? You and I know, Kevin, how much is an hour of our time, right? Like if we were billing it, it's what, 5, 10,000 bucks, right? So, but I'll do it. I'll spend the 45 minutes. I know what that means to that person. And when I could do it, I definitely do it.
Awesome. Well, I can't tell you, enough how much this means to me, to have you on here and share your story. I mean, it's just one hell of a journey, and
Thank you.
and
Thank you for having me.
just you understand the giving back nature, right, and just helping others, and and along the way you've had folks take a chance on you, and you're doing the same thing, and you're building one heck of a solution out there. So much. You deserve all the accolades and credit and success in the world. So
Thank you. Thanks,
yeah,
Kevin.
absolutely. Well, appreciate it. Where can people find you? Are you out there on social media? Is it just go out to the
Yeah,
website?
I mean, I'm in LinkedIn, obviously, but BINOXMSP.com is our website. You can just shoot me an email. My email is just walter@binoxmsp.com. I am at the very front of this thing. I don't hide behind my desk. I talk to almost every MSP once a week. I do this one call every Friday. They don't have to be members actually to come. We have a few guys that are not members, but they just love talking about sales and things that they could do. Anyone is welcome to that. That's on our website, binoxmsp.com. But aside from that, yeah, I'm at the event, so stop by and say hello. And thank you so much for having me, Kev.
You got it, man. All right. Well, appreciate it, and thanks to everybody for tuning in. And we'll catch you on the next episode. So thank you very much.
Thank you.